Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good afternoon. Good evening and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits. Oh, my damn. Oh, this is crazy. I'm just going to say it right now. My Lord. This is crazy. This is crazy. We got some things we got to get into, so get on in here, get on in here, get on in here. We got some things to talk about, all right, because there's some stuff that's going on, and wow, I don't even know. I'm still trying to compute, and honestly, still trying my best to fully wrap my mind around this one. This one is interesting, and this one, once again, I asked the question. Is this lawsuit real or no? I'm just gonna say that right now, and let me just. I'll say something in a second, okay? Let me get through all this stuff first. The essential stuff first. First off, please hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, please do me a solid. Hit that follow button over there, okay? Subscribe here on my main channel. Go to my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Crush that subscribe button over there as well. That'd be greatly, greatly appreciated, all right? Do it now, and do it well, all right? Don't forget, hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And, of course, let's not forget, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there, PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. We got to get into this conversation quickly because there's a lot of paperwork, and I know all of us want to get straight down to the nitty gritty. But I'm going to say this first, and I may do a poll because I know a lot of y'all are going to be like, make it a poll, Pascal. So I might do a poll in a little while, not right now, but in a little while. Okay. We first got to get into the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. And there's a lot that's going on. Okay. Miss Ace, hello. Thank you so much for being a member for the past 27 months, over 2 years. Diggity dang. I appreciate it. Good morning, y'all. Much love and awesomeness to you all. Yes, same to you. Nothing but awesomeness to you and everybody else on this wonderful, very interesting Sunday afternoon. Okay. Now, here's the thing. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys liking the beanie. That's dope. You know, beanie for a win. Beanie for the win. Let's go. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Okay, guys, we have got to get into this conversation. This is some wild stuff. Names have officially been dropped. Okay. Celebrity names have officially been dropped in this Ashley Parham or Parham's, lawsuit. And these names, I'm telling you right now, are going to blow your wig back. Yes. You want to know why? Because some of these names just don't make... Chihuahua. I don't even want to say the word. I don't even want to say this sentence. Because I know for a fact, as soon as I say something, some of y'all going to be mad. Some of you going to be mad at me for just saying what I got to say. But some of these names just don't make any sense. They just don't. Some of them, not all. I don't know some of these people's names, okay? But some of these celebrity names just don't make any earthly sense. I'm just going to repeat that one more time. They just don't make any sense. We're going to get straight into it. Now, here's the thing. Just a quick trip down memory lane. First off, I want to make you guys understand that this lawsuit came out in I think it was first filed in October or November. I don't remember. There were so many different lawsuits that came out in a flood of lawsuits, right? Now, and don't worry, Tammy, I just said it. So you might be watching it in delay. But here's the thing, all right? Something's very interesting about this situation here. We saw and read through this lawsuit before. But now what's going to be interesting is now we have names. Instead of it just being a John Doe that did something or a Jane Doe that did something, now we're going to have names dropped into the storyline. So now we're going to be taking a trip down the same lawsuit all over again. But now we're going to have celebrity names and names in place of those. John Doe 1 did this, John Doe 2 did this, Jane Doe 1 did this, and Jane Doe 2 did this. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to be very interesting. And don't worry, we are going to be getting into the names. We most definitely are going to be getting into the names. Don't you worry about a thing. But first and foremost, we are going to be getting into this first. Okay? Like I said, a quick trip down memory lane. Shout out to News Nation. Shout out to News Nation because Ashley Parham, she went on to News Nation and she was even on a docuseries. One of the making of or like the downfall of Diddy, Diddy's downfall, one of those many, many ones, okay? But I just want to play a few seconds of this interview. Again, she makes claim that this Ashley Parham, just a quick reminder, she met somebody who claimed to be friends with Diddy at a bar. Apparently, this guy came up to her and was breaking up a fight that she was involved in, allegedly. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm friends with Diddy. I'm friends with Diddy. Diddy, my homeboy. Do you know Sean Diddy Combs? He's my friend, right? She's like, yeah, right. So he pulls up his phone and he calls Diddy. They're having a conversation. He talks, he gives the phone to the girl, to Ashley. Ashley talks to Diddy for a few minutes. And in this conversation, she says, she basically calls him out saying, like, you were involved in Tupac's unaliving. Diddy felt some type of way about that. Basically, what her claims are, he felt some type of way about this. And he basically said, he kind of gave her a tongue lashing on the phone. They hang up. Weeks go by. This particular guy, I forgot his name. We're going to hear it. We're going to read it and hear it in a second. But this particular guy, who apparently was battling cancer, if I'm correct, asks for Ashley to come over to his house to help him with his pills and whatever. She goes over there. Now I'm gonna speed through some of this stuff, okay? Because we're gonna be reading it in the legal documents here shortly. She apparently came back to the house after like joyriding with the friend, okay, in his car. Came back, all right, and Diddy shows up to the crib with his goons, with these dudes. Some of them were security, like some people were on his security detail, and some of them were actually celebrities and people on his staff. They viciously attack her. And then all craziness goes on. I mean, literally, I said it's almost like they tore, and with all due respect, but it just seemed like something that got tore out of a Tyler Perry movie. Okay, how outlandish and wild this and strange the claims were in this document. Okay, and I even said, and I'll even say again, life can be stranger than fiction. There could be a possibility that she's telling 110% the truth, but it is a wild story. After she is viciously attacked by a group of people, she basically runs downstairs, says she's going to get out of there. She needs to get away. Diddy calls his mama. Mama's on the phone trying to convince her not to go tell the world about being viciously attacked by Diddy. They end up going outside. Like I said, I'm abbreviating all of this. Just quick little bullet points. She goes outside to the backyard where they're all apparently smoking some herbage. And something about Diddy getting upset about something, about what she said about Tupac, that one of the guys who's part of his security detail that also was a part of this gang attack on her just moments before, suddenly turns the weapon, pulls out his weapon, and turns it on Diddy and basically says, what you say about Tupac? Then all these things go off, right? The gun goes off somehow, and then chaos ensues. She has a sharp object in her hand. During this chase that becomes a cat and mouse chase, she pokes him in the side, okay, on the side of his abdomen or his torso area, okay. She runs outside the house. I'm speeding up. I'm just getting through the bullet points, okay? Goes outside to the front of the house, and she's running down screaming, help. As she's out there, the same security officer or same security guy, bodyguard, comes out and tells her, same guy that was involved in the group R, comes over to her and says, I'm an undercover cop, just so you know. Then there's a firefight where bullets are exchanged. They're ducking behind a SUV, and an SUV allegedly containing Diddy drives off into the down the street and getting away from the situation. She goes over to the neighbor's home to seek refuge. She's over there for a little while. Then, after I guess everyone was gone, she goes back to the house in which this crime ensued, passes out there, wakes up, I guess the next morning, grabs her stuff, gets in the car, and drives home. Now, from my understanding, she made reports to police. And those reports have now been hidden, suppressed, according to her and her lawyer, basically saying her lawyer, who is Ariel Mitchell Kidd. We haven't talked about her in a while, okay? But Ariel Mitchell Kidd made claims that this lawsuit or these police reports, they try to get their hands on them, which should be her right to get them because she's the one who made those police reports. That particular department is saying she needs a subpoena to get her hands on the paperwork and the reports that Ashley Parham wrote herself. Doesn't make any sense, right? And now new celebrity names have been dropped. But hold on. Let me just play a little bit of this. Like I said, she like I gave you very, very, I mean, the document is much more detailed than what I just gave you guys. All right. But this is absolutely nuck and futz. I'm sorry. It's insane. The whole series of events, the information. One thing that even Ashley Banfield asked in the show, which we're not going to watch the whole thing, but she asks in the show, why? Why did you go back and sleep in the house in which a crime occurred? Which still doesn't make any sense to me at all either. That part doesn't make sense to me at all. Right? Now, I also want to point something out that I also found to be something interesting. Remember when we were watching this? Some of y'all have been watching this show, been watching the show and going through this Diddy stuff with me, with a fine-tooth comb. This interview came out, and we were live as we were talking about this, pulling up the videos, talking about this interview, and this interview suddenly out of nowhere was taken down. Do you guys not remember that? Now the full interview's up. But the full interview was up back then, and then while we were going and reacting to it, watching it, getting all the information that we got, suddenly that stuff got cut out. Suddenly it was on private, or they just deleted the interview, but then they re-uploaded the video. So I'm still trying to understand why. Why did they do that? Why do all of that? I still don't understand that part either. Mind you, I wanted you to remember too, even so, just a few weeks back, I caught wind that Ashley was going to do an interview weeks before this actual interview took place. And she bowed out the night that she was supposed to be on live. She suddenly out of nowhere just didn't have the heart, which I understand. For any victim, this must be tough. But at the same time, this has been a very weird situation, very weird turn of events. So let me just play a tiny bit of this so you guys get this. And it's, of course, this is just a little trip down memory lane before we go into the paperwork.
What were the circumstances?
It was when Shane Pierce had called me and he claimed he wasn't feeling well from his cancer treatment and he needed help opening his medication. So I went over there to help him out, and it turned out he was just fine and he didn't need my help. It was weird. He wanted to show me his new car, and he took me on a short drive around the Renda Hills, and then we got back to his little bachelor pad in the house, and he offered me a glass of water, and I drank it, and I started to feel a little bit off. And then I heard a bunch of people coming down the stairs, and it was Sean Combs and a whole bunch of people who just busted in the door and in just in a boisterous manner and acting. He said something like, "Bet you didn't think you were ever going to see me." And I was just in complete shock and frozen.
And what happened next?
He basically started threatening me with human trafficking, and that they could take me anywhere and sell me. He had Christina Parham. He ordered her to insert a copper IUD into my body. It deployed before she could actually get it inside me, like inside the cervix. And that's when Sean Combs got extremely angry, and he grabbed the TV remote and sexually assaulted me vaginally with the remote.
Okay. Now here's the thing. We've got, if you want to go see the interview, the full interview, I recommend go and checking the whole thing out. Okay. This is this is hard to hear. Even hearing this for like the 7th time for me, because I've heard it a couple times before we went live talking about it when it first aired. I've gone back just to rewatch it, listen to it again, all that stuff, just hearing the story and what she says. These claims are absolutely horrendous. And I can't believe if this is real, may God have mercy on their souls. And my God, my heart goes out to her, and may she find a way to heal. Right. Hopefully she has the right community behind her and surrounding her to help her heal, because this is just horrendous, a horrendous account that I still can't believe that it's real. But of course, something interesting has happened, right? So we got to get straight into it now. Just wanted to give you guys a reminder that she did go live on News Nation, gave out an exclusive interview with Ashley Banfield. Okay. And there was some things that, of course, we heard the horrendous, unbelievable account of what she went through. And again, I've even said it. We've gone through this paperwork before, but now we're going to have names in this mother lover. And we're going to get into the names right about now. What's interesting about this here is that we already know about Christina Parham, KK, his assistant, right? His glorified right-hand woman, okay? Then you got Shane Pierce, Ruben Valdez, John Pelletier, okay? Odell Beckham Jr., Drew Desbordes, aka Drewski. Okay, football player Odell Beckham Jr., comedian, online comedian, content creator Drewski. We also have Jacqueline Wright, aka Jaguar Wright. You have Helena Harris Scott, Matias Gonzalez, Brandy Cunningham, Janice Combs, which we already knew about Mama on the phone, right? Keith Lux, aka Big Homie CC. And then, of course, a John and a whole bunch of Jane Does. Now, let me just explain something to you. What? First off, okay, let me just be real. Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, all the other names, KK, you know, we get it. We've heard claims about KK, right? I don't know who Shane Pierce is, okay? Ruben Valdez, John Pelletier. Okay, still I'm going to be like, what to them too, because who are they and what the hell, right? But then Odell Beckham Jr. Okay, we've heard stories. There have been stories and allegations about Odell Beckham Jr., some things in regards to Justin Bieber too, which in connection with him. I don't know. Then there's been rumors about Drewski and Diddy, and not in that zesty kind of way. I'm just saying like Drewski and Diddy. I don't know. There's just been rumors about Drewski. I mean, I feel like any person who becomes successful or becomes a name, there's just going to be rumors floating around. Now, whether or not they are true, I do not know. Do they have connections to Diddy? I do not know either. Okay, so I don't know. But there have been things out there. Don't know if they're true or not. But Drewski is a surprise to me too. Okay, so you got Odell Beckham Jr., which is a surprise, regardless. Huge surprise. You got Drewski, but then there's the hard pause. This is when I go, wait a second. Wait a second. Hold on. Something doesn't feel right. Jaguar Wright. Jaguar Wright. I'm just going to say one more time. This gave me great pause right there. Bam. Okay, hold on. We're going to talk about the Jaguar Wright situation, okay? Moving on. You got Helena or Helena Harris Scott, Matia Gonzalez, or Matthias. So maybe it's Matthias or Matthias. Matthias Gonzalez, Brandy Cunningham, Janice Combs, Keith Lux, but Keith Lux, aka Big Homie CC, another big pause. Sorry, got to hit it again. So, Big Homie CC is one of the main people recently has been out here talking about Diddy all up in these videos. Same thing with Jaguar Wright. Jaguar Wright has been out here trying to expose and unearth the dark underbelly of the hip hop and entertainment world. So how is she even in this mother-loving list? So that doesn't make any sense. Now, I understand that they're saying that, you know, Jaguar Wright wasn't around, could not even be in this place at that time because she was locked up. Now, if that's the case, that would exonerate her, right? That's a pretty damn good alibi, don't you think, though? Big Homie CC, what the? Even Odell, I mean, still, no matter what, all of this is extremely shocking stuff. Now, Jaguar Wright, let's be real. She's been out here. She has said a lot of stuff that has been wild. Okay. has been wild. You never know. I mean, maybe she can be right. Maybe she can be wrong. I don't know. Okay. I don't know what she's seen. I don't personally, I'm not in her head. I'm not in her body. I am not Jaguar Wright. But I do know for sure that that allegation does not make any sense. Not only because she was allegedly locked up during the time of this alleged attack, it's also because she been out here talking. Why? Oh, why would she be out here talking if she's one of the people that is a part of some nasty, disturbing, deplorable stuff on an innocent woman? Yes, and I know some people could argue like, oh, she may have changed her ways. Maybe she did it once, and then she realized how bad it was, and it changed her ways. Nah, you can miss me with that nonsense. Nah, homie. Nah. And then also you got to remember, big homie CC is out here. He's been talking about recently, at least since Diddy got arrested, he's been out here talking about Diddy and all the bad that Diddy did and all the bad that he saw Diddy do. So again, that doesn't make any sense. Now, here it is. I know some people are going to be mad, right? Some people are going to be like, oh, that's, how dare you not believe the victim? You're victim shaming, blah, blah, blah. Now, not in no way, shape, or form am I trying to victim shame at all. I'm just saying we're just looking at facts. And these facts right here don't make no damn sense. Let me just be real too. The documents and the breakdown of this document still do not make sense to me. When we first read it, I read it and I was like, this is like a Tyler Perry movie. This is like a really jacked up Tyler Perry movie. This doesn't make any sense. And I was like, I'm sure more information is going to come out and we're going to understand it even more. And guess what? More information came out and you're telling me Jaguar Wright for real? Drewski? Jaguar, they just all came in, just a whole gang of celebrities just gooning up, just chilling, doing this? All of them? That's wild. That's wild, y'all. I'm just saying respectfully, this is wild. And this gives me great pause. I am quite vexed off of just the list alone. But hey, we already read the document before, but now we're going to read it with names added into this mother lover. So let's get into it, right? I'm going to get straight into the act of it all, okay? But of course, look, Diddy is one of them. KK is, they're giving us photos, okay? So Christina Coram, which we already know, all right? She works for Diddy and is alleged to be one of the main heads of this enterprise within his racketeering charges that he's looking at right now. Then you got Shane Pierce. He's a restaurant manager of Sir Francis Drake, a Kipton hotel. Okay, I don't know who the hell that guy is. Does anybody know who Shane Pierce is? Because that sounds like random dude number one. Like he just seems, it's so random. But okay, moving on. Ruben Valdez, right here. Moving on. He lives in LA or lives in California. Then you have John Pelletier, okay, right here. Moving on. Odell Beckham Jr., right here. And this is Drewski, by the way. So he's in a photo with Drewski. But I'm going to show, there probably is another better photo of Drewski here so you can actually see him. But you know who Odell Beckham Jr. is. If you watch sports, you probably know who the heck that guy is. What's very interesting again, is that's Odell Beckham Jr. with Drewski, again, on the red carpet. But here's Drewski. Now, if you don't know who Drewski is, okay, who this guy is, he's a content creator. He's a comedian, okay? He's got a lot of stuff. I think he has a lot of stuff on Zeus, I think, too. I think that's the platform that he has a lot of stuff on, all right? But he does a lot of skits and stuff like that, you know? Stuff is funny. All right. But he's blown up and you know, gets a lot of views and has a lot of people in there. All right. But moving on. Then Jaguar Wright, which makes no sense. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. It makes no sense whatsoever. She just got an award too, just like a few weeks ago too. Flew out to Mar-a-Lago and got an award. And now she's in this document. It just doesn't make sense to me. Moving on. Helena Harris Scott. Okay. I honestly do not know who this is. All right. Then you got Matthias Gonzalez. You have Brandy Cunningham. Then, of course, you got Janice Combs. And then you got big homie CC. It just doesn't make sense. Some of the biggest voices that are so against Diddy are in this. It just doesn't make sense. With all due respects, guys, okay, just doesn't make any sense. But we're gonna get straight into. We got to find the. Okay. I think this is it. Yep. All right. So factual allegations common to all counts. Okay. So plaintiff met defendant Shane in February of 2018 after an altercation with another man at a bar. Defendant Shane came to plaintiff's rescue. So he broke up a fight. All right. While outside the bar, because I'm sure they got kicked out of the bar after this altercation with friends and other patrons, defendant Shane FaceTimed video called defendant Diddy and was showing people that defendant Diddy in the video on his phone, attempting to impress people with his famous friend. All right. So defendant Shane then showed plaintiff defendant Diddy on the video call or on his video call, which plaintiff ignored, stating she was not impressed by him knowing Diddy because she believed Diddy had something to do with the unaliving of Tupac Shakur. Now, this all is familiar. Just we're going to get through this. All right. Visible in the FaceTime call, Diddy and some of his children, including his sons Christian and Quincy, it appeared from plaintiff's perspective, Diddy was having a quote unquote get together at his home during the time of the face call with Shane. All right. Diddy heard plaintiff's statement and made a remark that plaintiff Ashley would quote unquote, pay for her statement regarding Tupac and overall dismissal of Diddy on March 23rd. So this is weeks later. Let's not forget this happened in February of some time. Okay. So March 23rd, Shane invited Ashley over to his home to assist him with his cancer medications because he stated he was weak and unable to open these medications. Upon Ashley's arrival, Shane informed plaintiff or Ashley that he wanted to give her a ride in his new car. Okay. So you were too weak to open up medication, but strong enough to drive and operate a car. Sure. Ashley and Shane left the residence for a brief period and then returned, unless she was driving the car. I don't know. But moving on. Once they returned, Shane left the door to his apartment partially open and stated that the door was ajar because there was an issue with the door where it couldn't close completely. Shane was renting an apartment on the lower floor of a home in Orinda, California. Shane had a separate entrance into his residence that led to the backyard of the home, and the home also had a main entrance in Loma Vista Drive. Okay, so two different entrances. Okay, one to the backyard, one to the front of the house. We get it. All right. Shane rented the home from a woman who lived in the upstairs portion of the home and had two dogs who resided with her. Plaintiff, Ashley, and Shane then began to watch a movie, and Shane offered her a glass of water, which he retrieved and brought it back to Ashley. Approximately 10 minutes after Ashley and Shane returned from their drive, defendant Diddy entered Shane's residence. Diddy entered the room in a grand, ready-to-party manner. His grandiose entrance was so loud that the dogs upstairs started barking. Diddy did not enter the home through the backyard entrance, but instead through the main entrance. Along with along with Diddy were his bodyguard, defendant Big Homie CC, Christina Coram, KK, defendant Brandy, defendant Doe 2, who upon information and belief is a friend of Shane and Diddy, and Diddy's driver, Doe 3, who remained outside in his vehicle during the duration of the plaintiff's attack. Now, one thing is for sure. If Doe 3, who was the driver, was back there, chilling in the car, could he corroborate? Could he actually back these claims? Okay. Could he actually back those claims? But moving on. Ashley believes Shane invited her over to set her up to be attacked by Diddy because of the statement she made about Diddy a month prior. Upon Diddy's arrival, he immediately began to antagonize Ashley, stating that she thought she would never see him in person, pay for her statements about Tupac during the video call, and that Diddy caught Ashley. Ashley was in shock, as she never believed that she would ever see or meet Diddy in real life, let alone in the small apartment rented by Shane. Diddy then began advancing towards where Ashley was sitting on Shane's bed. He was advancing to her with an actual knife and held it to the right side of her face and threatened to give her a Glasgow smile in retaliation for her previous statements on that video call, the Tupac stuff, right? Defendant KK, Christina Coram, his right-hand woman, allegedly, told Diddy that she did not think giving Ashley a Glasgow smile would be advantageous to their potential clients who they could sell Ashley for the SEX for. KK then made a threat to Ashley that they could ship her off anywhere in the world and that she would never see her family or anyone she knew ever again. Shane then partially undressed her, okay? Then Diddy removed the remainder of her clothing, removing the knife from her face, and then retrieved a bottle of liquid from a large fanny pack. Diddy then squirted the bottle of liquid on Ashley, which placed her in fear that she was being squirted with a chemical substance like acid. Ashley soon realized that the substance was kind of like a oil/lubricant. Ashley was squirted with this liquid substance over the entirety of her birthday suit, for lack of a better term. And like I said, this is going to get really bad here in a second. So fair warning, we're going to be using a whole lot of code words, but she was squirted with a whole bunch of baby oil. All right. That's what is being alleged here. KK was then told by Diddy to insert what looked like a syringe from sterile packaging into her nether regions. KK did as told, while assisted by defendant Brandy, and then told Diddy that they were unable to use the IUD because it had prematurely been released from its packaging. So Diddy, upset by this, took the syringe from KK and tried inserting it himself, okay, into Ashley. KK and Diddy began to argue as KK continued to advise Diddy that that since the IUD had been prematurely released from its packaging, it was no way they could insert it into Ashley effectively. Okay. After some time, Diddy heeded the advice of KK and removed the syringe from inside of her, and handed it back over to KK. KK and Brandy then exited Shane's residence, leaving Ashley alone with defendants Diddy, Shane, and John Doe's, who have been named herein. Interesting. So these John Doe's, we're going to be hearing from them, I guess, here soon, or about them soon. But let's continue. Diddy then picked up a television remote that was near Ashley and violently put it inside her. Diddy then violently arred Ashley with a television remote, told Ashley that her life was in his hands and that if he wanted, he could, quote unquote, take her and she would never be seen again. Ashley began hysterically crying from the threats of Diddy, along with the pain of being attacked from down there by Diddy with a television remote, as well as the lingering pain from the ordeal with the IUD syringe insertion. Diddy then instructed Shane to turn Ashley over on her stomach, seemingly tired of hearing her blood-curdling cries. Shane then grabbed a plaintiff by her abdomen and hips and turned her over on her stomach. Diddy then instructed Shane to put a pillow over her head so he didn't have to see her face or hear her cries, and instructed Shane to R her as well. So Shane did as he was told by Diddy and began to R Ashley. Diddy then R'd her as well in that same place, okay, after Shane. Then Doe 2 then joined Diddy and Shane, taking turns R'ing her. Now, what I want to know is, who the hell is Doe 2? You got these names, Odell Beckham Jr., you got Drewski, you got all these names. Who is Doe 2? Immediately after defendant Doe 2 R'd her, he exited his residence, Shane's residence. Defendant Diddy then instructed another defendant Doe to attack her. Defendant Doe has been determined to be defendant Drewski. Wow. So Doe 2 could be anybody, but there's another defendant. Obviously, we're starting to get the names coming out here now, right? Yeah, CJS lady, this is nasty. If this is 100% real, this is nasty work. But I'm telling you right now, the names they're just not mathing for me. With all due respect, the names are not mathing for me. All right? And we're going to talk about this in a second because there's possibilities of things, and we got to think about both sides of the fence here, okay? But continuing on. So another person, Diddy instructed another defendant to attack Ashley. They now have determined that person to be Drewski, content creator, comedian Drewski. Okay? Popular content creator, by the way, guys. Very successful. Moving on, though. We're just stating the facts here, guys. We're just stating what's written on legal pages, y'all. So let's continue. And of course, let's not forget, please, guys, do me a favor, okay? Do me a favor, hit that like button down below. If you can, that'll be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, all right? Subscribe if you can. Subscribe. Again, we're still on this case. We're still on Diddy. We're still on anything that Jay-Z is, dealing with, and all the allegations, all the lawsuits, all that. We are still watching it, y'all. Okay, because it matters. This whole thing matters for sure, for the sake of the victims and all that. So let's continue on here. Okay, instead of immediately R-ing Ashley, Drewski doused her with more oil lubricant and then jumped on top of her body that was oiled up, treating her like a slip and slide and knocking the wind out of plaintiff due to his enormous size. Hold on. Now, here's the thing. What? Okay. Okay, let's talk about this. Why? What? Like on some real talk, I could see him doing that kind of act in a skit. You know what I mean? I could see him doing that act in a skit. Okay, real talk, I could see that. I could really like I've seen enough of his skits in life that I'm like I could see that, but really like in real like here, ooh, okay. He then caught himself from sliding over her body and off the bed, and then began to attack her as well. While Drewski was R-ing plaintiff, Diddy sat in a chair near the bed and, took care of himself while recording. I forgot that part. He was recording it, okay? Recording Ashley's R by Drewski. Interesting. Another party's phone fell on the bed near Ashley. Ashley then attempted to grab the phone, but it slipped out of her hands and onto the floor due to the oil. She's been doused all over with this oil/lubricant, right? That was now done by not only Diddy, but now allegedly Drewski as well. Diddy began laughing at her attempt to grab the phone. Throughout this violent GR, or this gang attack, Diddy made constant belittling remarks to Ashley, including that he, quote unquote, owned her now. At some point during this ordeal, Ashley remembers defendants referring to another defendant, Doe, as Cornelius. And remember the name because it was so odd and unique. Plaintiff has come to discover the defendant, Doe Cornelius, who attacked her, was defendant Odell Beckham Jr. Ashley's body was becoming more and more limp over the course of the violent R until eventually she had no control over her body, nor could she move her body. When Drewski finished doing what he was doing to her, defendant KK entered the room to examine the condition of Ashley, who was barely able to move or control her bodily functions. KK examined Ashley to see if she needed assistance and was about to give plaintiff an IV fluid. Ashley could not be certain if she did or did not receive an intravenous intervention. KK then opened a different bag, different than the one Diddy removed the oil from, where Ashley observed several medicine bottles, IV fluid bags, and other unidentifiable powder-like substances. KK then removed a pill from one of the medicine bottles and gave it to defendant Diddy. Diddy then inserted the pill into her mouth and down her throat into where Ashley had no choice but to ingest the unknown pill. Diddy, Shane, KK, Odell Beckham Jr., and Drewski then exited the residence to the backyard where they smoked, some trees and cigarettes. Ashley remained in an almost lifeless state in Shane's bedroom until she finally regained her bodily functions. Ashley then began looking for her clothes and her purse that contained her car keys and cell phone, but could not discover them in the room or anywhere in the apartment. Ashley was only able to find a t-shirt on the floor, which she put on to cover her birthday suit. All right. Plaintiff Ashley also observed a prophylactic wrapper on the floor of the bedroom, which she assumed was used by one of the defendants, most likely Diddy, during this vicious attack. Ashley then found a knife with the assistance of the Doe plaintiffs. Okay, and headed to the backyard where defendants, the guys, were smoking, as that was the only way to exit the premises onto the street. Plaintiff concealed the weapon to her left side as she exited the apartment to the backyard area. Upon coming to the exit of the home, which led to the backyard, Ashley was met by big homie CC, who is standing at the door between the residence and the backyard. By the time Ashley was able to compose herself and come to the backyard, KK was no longer in the backyard, but upstairs on the patio balcony with defendant Brandy. Defendant Doe allowed plaintiff to walk to the backyard where defendants were still smoking. Defendant Doe did see the. So I'm assuming they're talking about. She's talking about big homie CC. So she was met by defendant big homie CC. He allowed her to go into the backyard. So big homie CC did not see, I'm sorry, the weapon that she concealed on her left side, as it was obstructed by the oversized t-shirt she was wearing. So Ashley observed Diddy still partially in his birthday suit from the attack, while other defendants had on their clothing. Shane then left to the upstairs portion of the patio balcony where KK and Brandy were already situated. So Ashley then sat down on a makeshift seat in the backyard when Diddy noticed her presence and remarked that he was surprised she was able to walk because he had given her enough substances to take out a horse. Plaintiff then asked Diddy, Ashley then asked Diddy what he gave her, and he laughed and he did not provide a response. Diddy then made further comments to plaintiff, to Ashley in a jovial, friendly manner, asking her why they hadn't partied together before, because it was quote unquote so much fun, and he hadn't had any, he hadn't had anything that tight in a while. All right. Defendant big homie CC then quipped at Diddy that he probably hadn't had anything that tight because he's not used to having AS, with women, which Diddy and allegedly big homie CC laughed at. Ashley then told Diddy she did not party with them and she did not enjoy partying with them, and that he R'd her. Diddy did not like Ashley's response to this lighthearted commentary and offered Ashley money and instructed Ashley to say that the violent R was consensual and that Ashley was an S worker. Ashley became enraged and yelled at Diddy that her R was not consensual. She was not an SW, an S worker, and she refused to take any money from him and would tell the police that he had R'd her. Defendant Diddy then told Ashley no one would ever believe she had been R'd by him, and if she did tell anyone such, that they would harm her family. Big homie CC then showed plaintiff Ashley his phone, which looked as if it was the outside of Ashley's estranged sister's residence, as she could see her sitting on the couch with her sister's spouse on the balcony. It looked as if someone was outside the residence streaming this video to big homie CC's phone. Like this is out of a freaking movie. You love your sister, right? Take a look at this. You love your sister, right? Oh, it looks like she's so comfortable in her sitting on her couch with her husband that she married 3 years ago. You love your sister though, right? And that's some wild stuff, right? This is some wild stuff, like out of a movie. So Ashley, while rattled by what she was seeing on big homie CC's phone, was still angry about the GR and was not complying with Diddy's request to take the money offered to say she was R'd, to say the R was consensual. Diddy then called Janice, Mama, in effort to further convince Ashley not to report her attack. So Janice Combs' mama yelled at Ashley to not hurt her son. Ashley told defendant Janice that her son had violently attacked her. Janice, seemingly unfazed by the statement, then continued her demands with Ashley to take the money being offered and not report the R to law enforcement. Defendant Diddy then made further threats that he had gotten off from bigger crimes than this, and referred to Tupac again, further antagonizing Ashley. Then, this is, oh, wow, okay, here we go. Now it's all start. This is interesting. Big homie CC then turned to Diddy, pulled his weapon on him, asking him to repeat what he said in reference to Tupac. So big homie CC is the one who pulled out the weapon and pointed it towards Diddy and said, "What you say about Tupac? Say that again, man. What you say?" Interesting, right? As the two of them are exchanging words, Ashley went behind big homie CC, where he seemingly began to protect Ashley. Remember, he's also a part of the gang attack, and now he's protecting her. Okay, I'm just making that abundantly clear. So you guys know, this is all just in the paperwork. All of it is in the paperwork. But wow. Wow, indeed. Moving on. As the two of them, okay, blah, 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 big homie CC then advanced to Diddy, questioning him over the comments he made about Tupac. He's like, "Say that again, man. What you say about Tupac? You did what?" Right? During the commotion, a neighbor directly across the street came outside and peered into the backyard and asked what the commotion is all about. He's like, "Excuse me, hi, is everything okay? What's going on? What's going on? Do I need to call 911?" Right? Big homie CC then pointed the weapon to the neighbor and instructed him to mind his business and return into his residence. Shut up, man. Mind your own damn business and get back in your damn home. Shut the hell up. Interesting, right? Big homie CC then turned back the weapon towards Diddy. Ashley, not far behind big homie CC, then grabbed big homie CC's hand that had the gun. The weapon goes off and hit a hill behind Shane's residence. Okay. Diddy then ran up to the back stone stairs near the hill in the backyard towards KK, Shane, and Brandy. Ashley charged towards Diddy, moving the concealed weapon from her left hand to her right in pursuit of Diddy. Ashley then pushed Diddy from behind while he was on the stone stairs outside, causing him to fall with his back to Ashley. Ashley then raised the knife in a rage from the events that just transpired and with the intent of driving this knife into his back when he turns around and began pleading for his life. Ashley, shocked now to see Diddy acting as a victim, had a moment of clarity and then turned and ran down the outdoor stone staircase back out to the backyard to escape. Diddy then chased plaintiff down the stairs and attempted to push her, but she was already at the bottom of the stairs and gained her footing and wielded the knife at Diddy, grazing his abdomen. Hearing the commotion, KK and Brandy emerged, and defendant KK then began administering first aid to Diddy for the injuries caused by plaintiff. Plaintiff tried to make a quick dash for the exit, but it was thwarted by another Doe. After a period of time, plaintiff was able to abscond from Doe due to this first aid commotion with Diddy and was able to run down the street. Once Ashley made it down onto the street, she began yelling loudly for someone to call police. Doe, who had now caught up with Ashley, advised Ashley that she was an undercover cop. To this day, plaintiff is unsure of the truth or falsity of that statement. Now, again, I'm wondering who this Doe is. Undercover cop comes up. This is by another defendant, Doe, and he's able to help first aid to Diddy. She runs down the street screaming bloody murder. Understandably, this defendant catches up to her. This Doe, catches up to her and says, "Don't worry, I'm a cop. I'm an undercover cop." Interesting, right? But she now, remember, I know for a fact everybody and their mama was questioning this situation, but now they have added that piece right here, saying to this day she's unsure if that was the truth or if it was false. Interesting. The same neighbor who just a second goes like, "Is everybody okay? Hi." Right? The same neighbor then again emerged from his residence. He's got some balls. This resident has some balls. Okay, asking what was transpiring. Just as plaintiff Ashley was attempting to answer, gunshots began being fired in Ashley's direction. She fled to a car near where the neighbor was also taking cover and lost sight of defendant Doe. So this defendant just disappeared, just vaporized into a pink mist. Gone. Moving on, plaintiff Ashley then heard an SUV screeching and speeding, leaving the residence. Ashley then entered the home of the neighbor who informed her that he had already called police. Yes, about damn time. Should have already happened. Should have already happened when allegedly big homie CC is screaming at him going, "Get your ass back inside the house. Mind your own damn business," right? So Ashley informed the neighbor that it was Sean Combs who had viciously attacked her and shot at them. But the neighbor was unaware who Diddy was. Now that's interesting. That I wonder how old this neighbor was or is, right? At the time of this unfortunate tragedy here. Moving on, shortly thereafter, a sheriff from the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department arrived at the neighbor's home. Plaintiff identified the person who arrived at the neighbor's home posing as a Contra Costa sheriff as defendant Pelletier. So wait a second. We're on page 24. I got to look. Okay. I got to check something here. Hold on one second. Okay. Defendant Pelletier. Okay. Page 24. Wouldn't they say is John Lawrence Pelletier an actual cop? Because they just said that this particular person was posing as a cop, which is even more diabolical if that's true. Wouldn't you agree? Look, Ashley identified the person who arrived at the neighbor's home posing as a sheriff was Pelletier. He's a Maui police chief. Was he ever a police chief in Contra Costa? Ever? In the Contra Costa Police Department? Ever? Or was he full on faking it, acting like he was a sheriff? Because that's a wild allegation right there. But let's continue on, okay? So plaintiff Ashley told Pelletier, believing he was a sheriff from local police. She had been violently attacked by Diddy's and others, and that she did not have her clothes, phone, purse, car keys, or cell phone. Pelletier, hopefully I'm saying his name correctly, I probably am not, falsely posing as a Contra Costa sheriff, told Ashley and the neighbor that they had received several noise complaints prior to the neighbor's call and instructed Ashley to find a way to get home. The sheriff, in quotations, Pelletier, did not offer to take plaintiff home, Ashley home, nor did he call for emergency services, including an ambulance, nor any offer to take Ashley to the hospital, nor any offer to help Ashley recover her clothes or effects from Shane's residence. So the sheriffs have confirmed that the police report was made that night by Ashley Parham. They confirmed that that report was made. Contra Costa sheriffs have refused to release any information related to the complaint on the night in question to any source, despite numerous attempts made via FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. So it doesn't make any sense either. Ashley observed Pelletier. She observed Pelletier hand something to the neighbor, what looked like an envelope, at the door. As Pelletier exited, the neighbor went to a nearby room and quickly returned empty-handed. Ashley believes the envelope contained cash. Very interesting. You know that this is all new stuff. These are all new added stuff here, by the by. Okay. And I have to say, real quick, before I forget, because, you know, my mind goes 15 million miles a minute, especially when we're live. But shout out to the Diddy docket on X, because without them providing this, hooking me up with this, I was scouring the earth trying to get this document. I couldn't find it to save my life. Okay. But it's very interesting that now we have this piece in here added into the documents. Now, let's just take a quick moment, okay, for a brief chronic break. All right, just really quick. Now, it's very interesting because you got to remember this just came out Friday night, okay? So it's been a few days. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to get to you guys about this earlier, but you know, the news be newsing and life be life and all at the same doggone mother loving time. Okay. And I appreciate all y'all for being here and being a part of the conversation. Really, I was worried that no one was going to give a damn. So I appreciate you guys giving a damn. Shout out to you guys. But let me just say this really quick. So this came out, right? Or the original breakdown came out. Okay. The document came out. We saw for ourselves. We read through it. There were no added pieces like this. Remember that. Then, and I'm not sitting here saying that I don't believe this woman. I'm not saying that. I have questions. I'm quite vexed. I will say that. I'm quite mother-loving vexed. Especially when you got names in here that just don't make any earthly sense to me. With all due respect. But moving on. Notice that this has just come out after, I'm sure, we have to put on the table hearing the court of public opinion put in their questions about this very document, the original document. This was not in there. Okay? This plaintiff or Ashley observing this cop that was acting like a cop, posing as another sheriff of another city or another town, right? Handing an envelope possibly filled with cash to the neighbor. Doesn't that seem a little bit odd to you, for lack of a better term? Remember, everybody and their mom was like, well, everybody needs to know what happened. What's up with that neighbor? What's up with that neighbor, guys? Ask the neighbor what's up. People been saying that. He's a witness. You put the neighbor in the narrative. So everyone's like, well, that neighbor can corroborate your story, right? They even Even Ashley Banfield asked it in that lengthy interview that we just saw 2 seconds of and we watched a little bit ago. Okay. She asked this woman and her lawyer that question. What about that neighbor? And they're like, we're still looking for that neighbor. We're still trying to get a hold of that neighbor. Right? But now we have this as an explanation now. Doesn't that seem a little bit weird to you? Now he's been paid off? Wouldn't that information be out on in the documents? Wouldn't this have been in the original document? I understand there's going to be revisions and stuff like that, but you got to remember, everybody and their mom is asking that question. So now it's like because they can't find the neighbor, so now they're sitting there going, "Oh yeah. Well, he was given a wad of cash. Yeah, that's what happened. He got an envelope. This cop that was acting like a cop, like a sheriff of a whole other town that he's not even the sheriff of, posing as a cop, gave this neighbor a wad of cash. That's why we can't talk to him. That's why he's not saying anything now. If this was truly part of the narrative, why wasn't this information put in the first original doggone document? I'm just saying. I'm just asking for a friend. So again, that seems a little bit odd. Why wasn't this out in the first place? I get that you're not putting out all the names of these celebrity names. Okay, that's fine. I'll put that over to the side. Still very sus in my personal opinion. But then you look at this part, and I'm going, wait a second. Some's not right here. The math ain't math in here. Seems a little bit on the nose, trying to answer the questions that the court of public opinion have been putting out in the Times Square. Doesn't it seem a bit on the nose here? But let's move on. Just seems, oh yeah, he was paid. Neighbor offered to let Ashley to sleep on his couch until she could figure out a way to get her possessions and get home. She declined, uneasy and unsure about the exchange with police and the neighbor and police, and only remained at the neighbor's residence for a short period of time. Once defendant, Pelletier, posing as the Contra Costa law enforcement, left. This also will explain. She's also putting out the reason why she wanted to leave. Okay? This also could be the other reason why she is trying to make sense of why she left the residence. He got paid something, so I don't trust that house. So I'm going back to the house where the crime was committed because I'm more comfortable staying at that place where the crime was committed. Remember, she was asked that live on Ashley Banfield's show as well. And of course, Ashley Banfield asked that question not only just once, but twice when she had an interview after this document dropped with Ariel Mitchell Kidd, a one-on-one conversation with her. She's like, but explain to me, why would she go back? Why would she go back to the residence? That doesn't make any sense. Why would she go back and sleep? I get going back and getting your stuff, but going back and going to sleep there? Someone, she's like, why would she do that? And, Ariel Mitchell Kidd kind of, was kind of annoyed with her, annoyed with Ashley for asking that question. She's like, I'm sorry, I just got to ask these questions because I know for a fact everybody else is asking these questions too. Then they had the interview that I just showed you earlier. She asked the same question there too. Why would she stay there? Why wouldn't she stay at the neighbor's residence? Why would she go back to the place from which the crimes and torment happened? Right? And now we're getting it because the other guy was getting paid too now. That's what was going on. Right? It's quite vexing. That's all I'm saying. It's quite vexing. But let's move on. Plaintiff then went back to Shane's residence where she found the door open. Her clothes were readily available, accessible, in his residence. Shane then emerged as if nothing had transpired and offered Ashley to stay at his residence while she, quote unquote, slept it off. Ashley asked for her purse and her keys, but Shane told her she shouldn't leave in her condition. And Ashley, catatonic and in a state of shock and disbelief of the events that had transpired, stayed at his home while Shane left the home. Later that morning, Shane returned to the residence and woke her up and finally gave her back her purse, cell phone, and keys. And Ashley left Shane's residence. In a daze, plaintiff returned home and tried to make sense out of what happened to her. Okay. And then on March 26, 2018, Ashley contacted her primary care doctor and asked for an HIV and STD test in fear of possibly having contracted any type of things from her violent attack. This is okay. Ashley tried to continue her life as she felt she wouldn't be believed, as Ashley already had told what she believed to be Contra Costa's sheriff's she tried to tell the department, okay, the police, that she had been attacked, to no avail. Further, Ashley was under the impression that she did continue to say, Further, Ashley was under the impression if she did continue to say Diddy's name in relation to her attack, she would not be believed and her family would be in danger. Seemingly mere days, maybe even the day before her vicious attack, Shane had miraculously began driving a new car. So mere days, maybe even the day before her attack, he started driving a brand new car. Ashley believes this was payment by Diddy for setting up this situation for her to be attacked. Ashley went to the hospital, where the hospital conducted several tests on Ashley, including an R kit, ultrasound, and x-rays. Additionally, Ashley was given IV fluids to stabilize her vitals, as she was in a severe weakened state from being unable to eat and losing a substantial amount of weight since the attack occurred. While at the hospital, Ashley told members of her treatment team about her horrific attack, and they contacted the Walnut Creek police. Walnut Creek police showed up to Ashley's hospital room and took a statement regarding her attack. Ashley only told Walnut Creek police about the attack from Shane and Doe. Plaintiff believes her statements made to Walnut Creek police while at the hospital was captured by police body cam footage. Ashley further believes her statements made on the 23rd of March, immediately after the vicious attack, where plaintiff Ashley named Diddy directly and by name, may be captured by body cam footage, but upon determining the sheriff was Pelletier, does not believe it was captured, as he was a co-conspirator. Ashley filed a report to the Orinda Police Department on April 17th, 2018, but was too afraid to name Diddy as one of her assailants. During this report, Ashley provided her clothing to the police from the night of the attack, but they only retained her underwear. To date, the underwear was never returned, and plaintiff believes no investigation ever commenced. Ashley sought assistance from therapists in May 2018, one of which tried to have her therapy appointments covered by a victims' compensation fund, which was rejected by Ashley, which was rejected because Ashley was told no law enforcement agency had opened an active investigation into any of her many reports of this violent gang attack. Subsequently, thereafter, Ashley asked police for a copy of her report from the Walnut Creek Police Department. On July 19th, 2018, plaintiff was Ashley was provided a letter from the Walnut Creek Police Department stating that it was, quote unquote, unable to furnish this information as it is confidential and not subject to public release. Despite Ashley not being the public and the victim / complainant. That part doesn't make any sense. I'd love to see the paperwork on that because that doesn't make any sense either. Okay. And I remember having that conversation about that too. I'm like, wait, make that make sense. Okay. That doesn't make that's not computing. Why could she not get something that she wrote herself? Right. In March 2024, plaintiff was re-traumatized by all the events surrounding Diddy, including the civil complaints filed against him, as well as the raid on Diddy's California and Florida residence. Ashley called Contra Costa sheriffs again in hopes of renewing her previous complaint and amending it to ensure Diddy's name was included. Ashley received no response from the sheriff. Ashley, on July 2024, then emailed the chief of the sheriff's office regarding her complaint, lack of investigation, and how she was treated by the initial responding officers. Ashley then later received a call back from a detective, but then nothing further. Plaintiff then began seeking local legal counsel for her claims, ultimately being referred to undersigned for representation. Undersigned counsel also attempted to get a copy of the 2018 police report from the Contra Costa sheriffs, but was told that they would not provide the report or any other information without a subpoena. So again, it just doesn't make any sense. All right. Plaintiffs John and Jane Doe's. Plaintiffs John and Jane Doe's are mother and son. Plaintiffs were taken from Las Vegas residence by Pelletier, I guess it is, as they walked to their vehicle. Pelletier put a weapon to John Doe's back and instructed him to get into a black SUV regarding extraditing plaintiffs for warrants to California. Plaintiffs did not have any warrants or convictions. Plaintiffs demanded to be shown the warrants, and defendant Pelletier refused and threatened to pull the trigger on plaintiffs if they protested further. In the back of the black SUV was defendant Valdez. Defendant was unknown to plaintiffs at the time. Defendant was dressed in black clothes and instructed plaintiffs not to look at him. Plaintiffs were then transported to what they believe was defendant Pelletier's residence in such and such Las Vegas, in some location in Las Vegas. Plaintiffs were ordered outside and brought into the living room and forced to sit on the couch and were physically restrained. Plaintiffs demanded to speak to their attorney, which was refused, ignored, or met with threats of violence. It became obvious that plaintiffs that this was not a legal arrest and that Pelletier was acting outside of the color of law. At some point thereafter, plaintiffs were ordered back to the large black SUV. Defendant Gonzalez was given the keys to plaintiff's vehicle, an SUV, to follow behind the other SUV. Gonzalez and Pelletier had a list, which upon information and belief was a list of quote unquote safe houses, which they could allow parties a safe respite undetected. Pelletier appeared to be in charge, and he and Valdez were both giving out orders to the other co-conspirator defendants. Plaintiffs, plaintiffs overhear repeated conversations in the vehicle while being taken and transported about following protocol by Pelletier to others. So upon information and belief, this protocol was agreed upon codes, okay, including the use of communication apps like WhatsApp, Snapchat, satellite phones, and referring to other co-conspirator defendants by their middle names. Interesting. It was apparent to plaintiffs this was a professional operation / syndicate. Plaintiffs were then moved, from Las Vegas to various locations throughout California. The first location plaintiffs were able to identify was in Danville, California. The convoy with the SUV plaintiffs were placed in also included plaintiffs' SUV that was driven by Gonzalez. Upon information and belief, KK was in another SUV part of the convoy. At some point, Gonzalez complained he had trouble keeping up with the convoy of black SUVs because the SUV ran poorly. Plaintiffs alleged the convoy drive was for numerous hours, but the exact time was uncertain as they were unable to keep adequate track of time. The next location plaintiffs were taken among the next location plaintiffs were taken among the quote unquote safe houses on their route to an unknown destination was such and such place in Danville, California. Plaintiffs heard some altercation with the owners of the home, not wanting to be involved with a defendant's scheme. Plaintiffs attempted to plead to the owners for help, but could not understand why they wouldn't heed the plaintiff's cry for help. Plaintiff heard the owners speak a foreign language, which they believed was Farsi. Upon information and belief, this location was approximately 20 miles from the home in Orinda, where plaintiff Parham was actually attacked. During the transportation of plaintiffs across state lines, they were given water to drink, which plaintiffs believe was applied with substances. Valdez would provide plaintiffs with the water, which after drinking, they would feel slightly euphoric, dizzy, and then sick. Valdez would demand plaintiffs drink the water, but they refused and or faked consumption. During the transportation, these two were forced to listen to a device with music similar to the device associated with KK's nonprofit organization, Music Beats Hearts, in order to prevent them from eavesdropping on the defendant's conversations. In certain times, the music stopped playing, and plaintiff John Doe would be able to get the earbuds partially out of one ear without defendants noticing to hear conversations about plans they had for these two. The two were then taken to another location in Cerrito, California. Plaintiffs were able to keep track of their location by remembering cross streets when they finally were let out of the vehicle for stops. At this location, plaintiffs observed an RV, recreational vehicle, arrive at the residence. During this stop is when plaintiffs noticed KK was part of the convoy. At this stop, plaintiffs overheard KK being referred to as her code name, which is believed to be her middle name, Natasha, discussing visiting the UC Berkeley campus, as defendant seemed very familiar, with the area and familiar with the city. Upon information and belief, this location was approximately 7 miles from the home in Orinda where plaintiffs were attacked. Plaintiffs were then taken to another location, the Beacon Grand Hotel, Sir Francis Drake. So, defendant Shane worked at the hotel as a manager. Hence I was like, he's a restaurant manager, right? But okay. Plaintiffs were then taken into the hotel through what appeared to be the side entrance, okay, by Valdez, Pelletier, and Gonzalez. Pelletier told the co-conspirator defendants he would stay at a different hotel nearby so it wouldn't be linked to him. Once inside the hotel room, plaintiffs were hurt, implied with substances by Valdez and Gonzalez. Plaintiffs pleaded with Valdez and Gonzalez to be released and for mercy. Valdez and Gonzalez instructed the plaintiffs to sign paperwork at gunpoint. When plaintiffs refused, Gonzalez would hurt them with the weapon, okay, on the back of their heads. Gonzalez eventually gave plaintiffs a drink, which caused them to pass out. Plaintiffs spent the night at the hotel with defendants Gonzalez and Valdez, taking turns watching them. The next morning, plaintiffs were restrained and bound by their hands in front and were placed into a vehicle. Plaintiffs then saw Jaguar Wright and Helena Scott, I think is the last name. Upon information and belief, defendants Jaguar and Helena were in a small sedan-like color, white or beige. The plaintiffs, were then transported to the location of plaintiff Parham's brutal attack on Loma Vista Drive by defendants Jaguar and Helena. Defendant Helena was the driver, and defendant Jaguar was the passenger. Helena warned plaintiffs if they tried to escape or run, that she would have to bang them. Defendant Helena also warned plaintiffs not to throw up in her vehicle, saying, "You better not throw up in my car or get sick." Helena mentioned having two partners as backup who were bounty hunters. Plaintiffs were familiar with Helena as they have filed a lawsuit against superstar as she has filed a lawsuit against superstar singer Michael Jackson in 2005 and filed a creditor's claim against the Jackson estate upon his untimely demise in 2009. Okay. Plaintiffs were familiar with defendant Helena from her previous Michael Jackson lawsuits and had previously met with the defendant at her home, with Helena at her home in West Hollywood, to determine the credibility of her claims and if they were similar in nature to plaintiffs. Let me take a break here, guys. What in the what? Huh? Okay. I'm because I'm still trying to understand that this is such a transition. You understand? This is such a transition. So I'm trying to understand what the heck is going on here. You know what I mean? Hold on. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Okay. So there's something about this that just isn't making any sense to me, guys. Because I'm going to be real. This is wild. Hold on. Page 35. Something about this seems weird. So it's like plaintiffs John and Jane Doe. So they're a mother and son. Okay. They were somehow taken and moved across state lines. But what's weird about this? I'm trying to understand how this has anything to do. Like they're saying that they went to that same residence where Ashley Parham was actually attacked. But what I'm trying to understand is it just doesn't make any sense. So hold on. Just coming back up here for a second. Because this is such an interesting addition. You got to understand, this was never part of this part. What we're just reading right now, these pages from like page 30, like where we're at 35 or something like that. This doesn't have anything to do with. This does not have anything to do with the crime that allegedly happened to Ashley Parham, right? So again, I'm sitting here going, where is the connection here? Aside from them saying that they transported some of these two people, it's a mother and son situation, okay, which makes no sense. But let's continue on. What in the what? Okay, moving on. But I get sick, so on and so forth. Plaintiffs had reported Helena multiple times to the LA and OC FBI field offices for her role in the crime syndicate with defendants Pelletier, Valdez, and other individuals. Plaintiff attempted to make conversation with defendant Helena, in which she admitted she was the same person who plaintiffs had met with previously. Jaguar Wright, aggravated, stated, "You let them know who we are. That's really great. You let them know who we are? That's really great." So plaintiff notified this mother and son duo, defendants had large brown bags and manila envelopes full of cash that was banded. It appeared there were separating the large sums of cash to distribute as they were placing cash into the manila envelopes. Jaguar discussed with Helena how the parties started the first Black-owned network. Upon information and belief, plaintiffs believe that that network was Revolt TV. Jaguar and Helena discussed the other co-conspirators, but referred to them by their middle names. Natasha is KK, Pedro is Gonzalez, Lyra is Valdez, Cornelius is Odell, Beckham Jr., and Larry is shortened for Lawrence, which is for Pelletier. When defendant Jaguar said Cornelius, it upset. When she said Cornelius, it upset Helena, who said that defendants Odell and Drewski were her clients and nothing better happened to them. And plaintiffs better not say anything about them or she would have them unalived. Jaguar then told plaintiffs that they were being taken to meet John. Plaintiffs now know that they're referring to defendant Diddy. When defendants arrived to Luma Vista's location, or to the arrived with the plaintiffs at Luma Vista location. It appeared as they were waiting and coordinating for others to arrive. A large sedan arrived at the plaintiffs, and plaintiffs were then placed in the back with Valdez. Defendant Pelletier was driving. They then arrived at a short driveway / curb. Plaintiffs remember looking for intersecting street signs at the location and found this such and such a dead-end street of Loma Vista Drive. Plaintiff John Doe repeated the name of the street to himself, so he remembered and was able to whisper it into Jane Doe's ear to remember the intersection name of such and such. Plaintiffs believe this was the home they would be unalived in, or tried to devise a plan for escape. Plaintiffs were brought into the house and into the kitchen, where they were watched by Gonzalez. Plaintiffs repeated their pleas to Gonzalez to be released and for mercy, which he replied, "There's nothing he can do." Plaintiffs could hear other people inside the home and tried to listen to understand what was happening, which involved a woman's scream. Eventually, plaintiffs were led deeper into the home, where they encountered more individuals, including Diddy. Plaintiffs observed several individuals gathered around a bed while Gonzalez and Valdez stood outer guard. Plaintiffs observed Jaguar and Helena enter the residence. Jaguar told plaintiffs, he wants something you have. If I were you, I'd figure out what it is really fast. The he defendant was referring to was believed to be about Diddy. Shortly after, Drewski appeared wearing a vest and shorts, and he engaged in the conversation with plaintiffs. Plaintiffs tried to appeal to defendant Drewski by talking about the music industry, and Drewski instructed plaintiffs that they should cooperate. So these two, this is interesting. It's like a storyline, right? Like these two crimes were intersecting at the same place at the same time, but they have different timelines. Ain't that interesting? Now it's starting to make sense. Okay. So let me get this. You got these two, a mom and a son, that were being transported over state lines. And they're having this whole storyline, right, of getting to Shane's residence, if I'm correct, where Drewski, Odell Beckham, all these people are in this house kicking it, and they're actually hearing in the background a vicious attack happening at the same time, where Ashley is being attacked in this bedroom by a gang of people. So it's two different timelines happening at the same time. They're just intersecting like a damn movie, right? So we hear their story. We've already heard Ashley's story. Now we're hearing these two plaintiffs, this John Doe and Jane Doe, that were being transported across state lines by not only Valdez, Gonzalez, and Pelletier, but also Helena and Jaguar Wright. So now they're all coming to an intersection now. So they're in this house while this vicious attack is happening at the same damn time. So then Drewski is in the house having a conversation to this John Doe and Jane Doe, basically saying the same thing that allegedly Jaguar Wright said, you better give him what he wants, right? He's basically saying, like, yeah, you should just cooperate, y'all. Do what they ask you to do. Right? Is it this, like, that's the thing. I'm trying to figure out, is this all crossing at the same time, or is this just another time? Same house, but another time. Right? But why would they have this added on to this document? That's the thing I'm trying to understand. Right? Is it connected, or is it like I said, hear me out. Hear me out. Because again, where's that part where they say they hear a woman scream? Yeah. Plaintiffs could hear inside the home. Okay. You could hear other people inside the home. Sorry. They were inside the home. They could hear other people inside the home and tried to listen to understand what was happening, which included a woman's scream. So could that just be another woman? Well, let's continue reading. Let's find out. But this is odd. And if this is wild, let's continue on. Hold on. Okay, cooperate. So this John and Jane Doe, this mother and son duo, okay, describe what they observed during the attack of. Nope. There we go. There it is. Yeah. So this all happened at the same time. So as they're getting moved, okay, as the human teeing is happening for this mom and this son, Ashley Parham is actually being viciously attacked in the house at the same time that they're doing HTing in the house too. So this is saying they describe what they observed during the attack of Ashley Parham after this interaction with Drewski. So this all happened. It's like a movie. Like I said, I wasn't wrong. I'm smart. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Yeah. Wow. Real talk. What? Okay. This is wild. This is wild. It's almost like we just saw that we heard about the crime and then it's like, one day earlier. You know what I mean? Like it's like we see her story and then it cuts to a title page on the screen and it says 24 hours earlier. And then we have a mom and son being taken, put into SUVs, driven across state lines into California, getting over to this place, and so on, right? And now we're back in the same place that we were before. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. One other thing I want to say, though. See, it does make sense, but it don't, though. Okay? It makes sense, but it don't. You know what I mean? Thursday, Friday, happy days. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. It's flashbacking, Lily. Exactly. You know what I mean? 12 hours before. And then it's, we're dropped into the action, right? Now we're back up to the timeline where the crime is actually happening, aside from the crime that's actually happening to them as well. Two different crimes are happening at the same damn time, and they all cross paths with each other. Now, here's the thing. I need to say something. I'm sorry, but I got to be real, okay? It makes sense now that we're understanding it, but it don't make sense at the same damn time. Let me explain. She says she comes out of the place. She walks out. So did they all move and leave? Did they all take these two people out after the crime or during the crime? Obviously, we're not done yet, but I'm curious as to her timeline coming out. Her timeline coming out of the thing after being viciously attacked. She comes downstairs. They're out in the backyard smoking doobies. There's a whole altercation that happens. She didn't notice the two other people being tied up with their hands in the front and all that stuff. I'm just saying, something seems weird here. But again, things can be, life can be stranger than fiction, I guess. But I still don't believe the Jaguar right thing, guys. I really don't. In fact, I don't really believe the big homie CC part either. I'm gonna be real, but we're gonna talk about that in a hot minute. All right. There's just something about it that just doesn't seem right, or accurate. Let's just say that. Okay. So I feel like, yeah, S-Dubs, I agree. How would you miss that? You got people that are held against their will. You're gonna notice that. Even while you're going through your own trauma, you're gonna be like, there was two other. She's describing so many other things at great detail, I would be like, I remember two people over there tied up against their will as I was sitting there with Odell Beckham Jr. smoking a doobie and big homie CC pointing a pew pew at Diddy's face, with a neighbor going, "Hi, is everybody okay over here?" All the way in the background. All the other details she remembers, but that part is interesting. Unless they left, unless they were moved before she got up and out and before all the altercation happened. That's possible too. But let's continue on. All right. So they say this is all happening. This interaction with Drewski, all of this was happening while this woman is getting attacked, viciously attacked. Plaintiff observes, okay, Ashley Parham. See? I mean, so they were in the room. So they saw this, but they saw. And maybe I'm missing something from what she said earlier, but ride with me, okay? Now they're saying now the John and Jane Doe, the mother and son duo, okay, that were being put through cross state lines, observed her being forced to do certain things. Ashley, they saw KK doing this with the with using the IUD. Okay, they heard KK made a remark about how it was not going to be that Jane Doe would not need an IUD because of her age. Interesting. While hearing Ashley scream in agony during the forced IUD insertion, Jane Doe yelled, "Stop hurting her." Plaintiffs, the John and Jane Doe, the mother-son duo, observed Shane place a pillow over her face, while Jane Doe, the mom, screamed, yelled for them to stop, and that she would pass away. Jane Doe believes Ashley did lose consciousness because she became limp and unresponsive. Diddy instructed Valdez to shut her up. Valdez hit her, with the handle of his weapon. John Doe witnessed Ashley being attacked with the remote control. When he tried to say something, plaintiff was told to shut up or that he would get the remote control next. John Doe believes he heard Jaguar make remarks, "Put that remote in her. She's going to learn today." And telling Ashley that she was going to make it worse. Plaintiffs believe that the remote control attack was to punish Parham for the IUD failure. Plaintiffs heard KK's remark to Diddy and Drewski that she needed to keep them sufficiently plied with substances and revealed a bag of substances and paraphernalia. KK appeared to be dispersing doses to defendants, asking them their weights to administer the proper amount. At some point, John Doe was taken to the bathroom. While in the bathroom, he believed there may have been other tenants and began to bang on the walls, hoping someone would hear him. But the only person who could hear him was Valdez and Gonzalez, who were right outside keeping watch. Upon John Doe's return, he saw defendant Odell Beckham Jr. John Doe took immediate notice of Odell because when he took his clothes off, plaintiffs remembers him being in great shape, especially in comparison to the. That's funny. He's in great shape in comparison to Diddy and Drewski. So John Doe overheard Diddy and Odell discussing business and the plan to have Ashley Parham return to New York City or to New York with Odell. So he was going to take her as his own little plaything, which is insane. John Doe could not readily observe where Jane Doe was during this time. So his mom, he did not know where his mom was. While during this time, where plaintiff John Doe was out, Jane Doe was out of sight of plaintiff Jane Doe was being SA'd by defendant Valdez in another room. John Doe witnessed the gang attack of Ashley. Jane Doe witnessed the gang attack on Ashley. John Doe witnessed Drewski douse Ashley in baby oil and then jumped and slid across her body. John Doe observed Diddy and Drewski maniacally and hysterically laughing, which plaintiff attributed to their substance use. Diddy then attempted to force John Doe to also attack Ashley, and he refused. Diddy instructed co-conspirators to throw John into a wall several times in order to get him to comply with his demand to Ashley, which he would not comply. Diddy instructed defendant co-conspirators to yank, grab, pull at his privates violently in effort to punish him for not participating in the gang of Ashley Parham. John Doe remembers defendant Big Homie CC saying he was going to look for pliers to use to further torture the plaintiff, John Doe. John Doe believes Diddy wanted plaintiff to attack Ashley so that they can frame him in an event if she was to report this attack. In an effort to get DNA from John Doe to place on Ashley Parham, Diddy had one of the co-conspirators put their mouth on John Doe to try to get his DNA. All right, but it failed. John Doe observed KK returned to the room to check on Ashley and providing her with an IV, telling her to breathe deeply. John Doe watched Parham lose consciousness. At some point, plaintiff Jane Doe returns after Diddy, Shane, Drewski, Odell, KK, and others leave the room and retire to either the backyard or to the upstairs patio. Plaintiffs were left alone and unattended with an unconscious Ashley Parham. Plaintiffs were crying after observing the attack upon Ashley and began to realize this was their next chance to devise a plan for escape. Plaintiffs began looking for weapons and exit points to make their escape. Plaintiffs could not find any phones or any weapons like knives in the kitchen, as it appeared all the cutlery and silverware had been removed from the home. Plaintiffs were trying to act quickly while defendants left them unattended and were outside smoking, drinking, and loudly laughing as if having a party. Plaintiffs observed others outside believed to be Diddy's sons, Christian and Quincy. Plaintiffs observed them roughhousing and practicing layup basketball moves. Plaintiffs heard Diddy tell his sons to watch the gate and make sure no one left. Yeah, I'm sorry. So now we got the kids involved. Quincy and Christian are now involved as well. Hold on real quick. Let me get this real quick. CJS lady, welcome to the family. And just like CJS, please consider becoming a member just by simply hitting that join button down below, okay? Just by simply hitting that join button down below, become a member, guys. Hit that join button down below, all right? And while I'm at it, hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. Okay, where we at? Where we at with the likes? Real quick. Where we at? Oh, my God, that's diabolical. Come on, guys. Let's get it. Can we get it to like 900 likes real quick? Your boy's reading all this stuff for your age. All right. If you don't mind, please and thank you. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. I can't urge that enough. Do not forget. Okay. But we need to talk. Okay. And no, I don't like, I just want to make it abundantly clear. There's a possibility that there could be mistaken identity, but I do not believe this to have anything to do with Jaguar. I just don't. I just don't. I'm sorry. And something can be true. There could be a woman that looks like Jaguar Wright. There could be a woman that looks like Helena. I don't know who Helena is. I'm just going to be real. Okay, I don't. Not that I can remember that name just off the top of the dome. Okay. But I do believe that people can be under the influence and think that it was Odell Beckham Jr., for example, and it may not be him. You see what I'm saying? But the Jaguar Wright thing just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. It makes, and that's what sucks, because it makes these claims faulty. And it, again, seems like there are holes in the story. Because Jaguar Wright, really? Come on, y'all. Okay? Really? I don't know. I don't know about all that. I just don't. I'm just going to be real. But I don't know. Like I said, I just don't. I'm not believing that hype. But there's other names being put in here now. You got Quincy and Christian now. Okay? Diddy's kids. They're at the place. They were not in the act, though. But they're in the place as if they know for a fact that there are people, okay? That there are people that are being held against their will in the house. Why did he have to tell them, make sure no one leaves? What? So then, these two does are making claims that these kids knew, that they know that their daddy has some people being held against their will in the house, which is even more diabolical. But again, these are claims. These are allegations. Doesn't mean that it's true. All right. Just to make that abundantly clear. Okay. Plaintiffs observed Gonzalez outside the front door, where the front door was barricaded by yellow crime scene tape. The door lock was unusual because it was facing backwards, needing the key to exit. So, fearing no way to escape, Jane Doe mentioned to plaintiff John Doe that she overheard them say, put it on top of the refrigerator, and instructed John Doe to check to see if there was anything on top of the refrigerator. John Doe found a knife on top of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Then the plaintiffs then heard ramblings from the room Parham was in, and went to check on her and to stop her from making so much noise that could thwart their escape plan. Plaintiffs told Parham they were going to hurt her, or they weren't going to hurt her, I'm sorry, and that they were here to help. Parham, just now coming into consciousness and being horrifically attacked, was upset, terrified, and unsure if plaintiffs were trying to help or were also co-conspirators. Plaintiffs eventually were able to get plaintiff Parham to calm down and listen to their escape plan. Hold on. Why is this not in her part of the story too? Think about it for a second. I understand that maybe she was under the influence and all that stuff, but she remembers all this other stuff. So why wouldn't you remember two people trying to, help her? We're not here to hurt you. Let's come up with an escape plan. Let's talk. Doesn't this seem a little bit weird to you guys? I'm sorry. I love y'all, but doesn't that seem a little bit weird, baby? Baby, doesn't it seem weird? No? Huh? Come on, baby. It don't seem a little bit weird. Wouldn't that be information? That's very crucial information to put into the first part 1 of this. Okay? Ay, Chihuahua. Okay, Happy Days is like, I don't even know anymore. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. I don't even know what's up anymore. I don't even know what's down. What's hot? What's cold? I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. I don't even know. Because like I said, it doesn't make no damn sense. This is all written by the same lawyer. This is all coming from the same lawsuit, same law firm, I'm sorry. Doesn't this poke a little holes in the case that she's representing? Doesn't it a little bit? Respectfully, I'm just asking a question. Okay? And I'm not going hard for Diddy. Hell no. I'm going hard for the truth, y'all. Okay? I'm going hard for the truth. You know what I'm saying? And let's be real. He's still, in my mind, a monster. But at the same time, I want the right allegation, the right lawsuits and all that to take him down. Because it could be that one lawsuit that is not true, let's just say, or has holes in it that could exonerate him. You got to understand that. I want all of this to be 100. But we're looking at the paperwork and we're all intelligent individuals, are we not? So we're all reading this stuff and we're going, wait, reading comprehension 101. We're going, wait, something seems a bit odd. The storyline, what we're hearing here and the storyline over here, they're not fully connecting. Yes, they're crossing paths. And I understand that there's going to be two different stories, right? There's two different perspectives here, but there's no mention of two people helping her out. The whole thing is her just fighting her way out by herself. And now we're hearing a Jane and John Doe, a mom and son duo that came in to help her, right? It just seems weird, right? So again, I'm not trying to help Diddy. Shoot, he got plenty of money. He got plenty of lawyers. He'd be fine. But there's something about this that seems a bit weird. Now, there's a couple things you could put into consideration. The substances that she was allegedly on, when we're just talking about Ashley Parham, the substances that she's allegedly on, and the trauma that she went through and all the chaos, I can see that. But she has everything else down to, you see what I'm saying? She has so many other things locked up. But that's kind of important if it's like, two people did help me and they were awesome, right? Two people were there and we concocted a plan. You know what I'm saying? So it's very interesting. But let's continue on. All I'm saying is it's just a question. And I feel like every other person on this planet is going to ask the same doggone question, which is, wait a second, that seems odd. Why? And yeah, these are amendments, but this is a huge amendment. This is massive. This is okay. Let's continue on though. Plaintiffs told Parham that they could not find an exit to escape, and they needed her help to escape. Otherwise, they would all be unalived. Ashley, after experiencing her ordeal, with these monsters, if it's true, believed the plaintiffs and agreed to help in an escape. Okay. Plaintiffs and Ashley then told see, this is a part that's important. Plaintiffs told Ashley that they had a weapon, that they found a weapon, and that her assailants were in the backyard, which was believed to be the best exit for escape. Ashley then exited the home with the weapon she concealed to the backyard. So they came up to her and said, hey, we got this knife here. She says she found it. There's no conversation of John Doe gave me this. You know what I mean? Jane Doe gave me this. This particular Doe gave me this. That's never said in her paperwork. But okay, that's fine. That's cool. But she exits out there with the concealed weapon on her, okay, to the backyard. Shortly after, KK returned and took Jane Doe to the balcony, all right, leaving John Doe alone in the residence. Plaintiffs believed KK did not check the residence because she believes Ashley was still unconscious. While on the balcony, KK demanded Jane Doe sign documents. When plaintiff refused, defendant yelled to at least 2 Doe bodyguards. Plaintiff would not sign and asked them to assist. Okay, here's the other thing. I'm going to ask it in a second. Plaintiffs believe the documents were related to creditors' claims plaintiffs had against the Michael Jackson estate. During this interaction, parties heard a gunshot, which causes everyone to run towards the backyard where the shot came from. So remember what they just said about that balcony. Remember, we're going to talk about that in just 2 seconds. Plaintiff John Doe, who was left alone and unattended, was able to reach the stairs where he saw Ashley with the knife, looking as if she was going to go after Diddy when he fell on top of the stairs, remember? And he yelled out, do it. Get him, right? Stab him, right? But he saw Ashley hesitate. John Doe observed Diddy push her off, down to the bottom of the stairs. John Doe believes he assisted her to get up. Okay. Plaintiffs were briefly then reunited, and John Doe told Jane Doe now was their opportunity to escape. Following Parham, plaintiffs ran out the back gate onto the street and in the opposite direction of Parham. Plaintiffs arrived at the house next door to the residence and banged on the door and yelled for help. The wife came out. The wife came out and said that she and her husband couldn't help. Plaintiffs found the exchange bizarre and could not understand why they would not help or call 911. That's odd. Plaintiffs were able to then try to hide until they saw an officer report to the location where they attempted to speak with the officer. Before plaintiffs were able to speak to the local officer, Pelletier appeared and obstructed plaintiffs from speaking to the responding officer, telling the responding officer a federal investigation was ongoing and to not interfere. Pelletier told the officer to turn off his body cam. Pelletier told the officer he was working on the case for a trafficking and for substance moving, okay? And that the house was under surveillance and will report later to the local precinct. Pelletier referred to plaintiffs and Parham as suspects and said they were homeless. When plaintiffs tried to refute these statements by Pelletier, they were threatened and told to shut up and remain quiet. Gonzalez then transports and removes plaintiffs from the interaction with Pelletier and the responding officer. Gonzalez placed plaintiffs, these two, in another vehicle, which was hard to see due to the darkness. Jane Doe pleaded with Gonzalez to let them go and that she would not tell. In a last-ditch effort, plaintiff told defendant, or Gonzalez, she overheard Jaguar and Helena say that they were not going to pay him and that there was not enough money for him. Unbeknownst to plaintiffs, Jaguar and Helena were in a nearby vehicle. Gonzalez exited the vehicle and went to the vehicle with Jaguar and Helena and confronted them about what was said by Jane Doe. Gonzalez returned to the vehicle where plaintiffs were being held, seemingly confirming what plaintiff Jane Doe said because plaintiffs heard him use the Spanish word mayet. I don't know what that word is. Which is often used to as a slur towards black people. Interesting. I don't know that word. That's a new one for me. Gonzalez then walked plaintiff to and I probably spelled it wrong, but anyway, or I pronounced it wrong, I'm sure. Gonzalez then walked plaintiffs to a nearby street where the SUVs was parked and gave plaintiffs the keys to the vehicle and released them. Plaintiffs then arrived at such and such, the main road that leads to the I-24 freeway, and asked another commuter the nearest police station, as plaintiffs did not have any phones and their vehicle did not have GPS. They were given instructions. They were close and how to proceed to the police station. They arrived at the police station, which I'm assuming is the Orinda Police Department. John Doe walked into the police station with the intention of filing a police report, but remembered overhearing conversation from the defendants during their transport when defendants believed that he could not hear them, that if plaintiffs ever reported the incident, they would be deemed crazy and non-believable. Plaintiff John Doe was also concerned about the exchange with the responding officer on the scene and how he refused to listen to his pleas then. Plaintiff John Doe then only briefly spoke to someone at the front desk about filing a police report and took a business card. So here it is, guys. This is pretty crazy. First off, there's something here that just doesn't make any sense to me that we need to talk about. All right. There's a lot of things there's a lot of holes in here. I'm going to be real. There are a lot of holes in here, but, and we're just talking about what's going on. I think Diddy's a monster. Okay. But at the same time, all the allegations that he's being hit with, I want them to be 100% ironclad. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. You can't just throw everything at somebody if it's not true. I'm not sitting here saying that this is not true. I'm just saying that there's holes in this story. Couple of things, because now we're hearing from a different perspective, two different perspectives. Okay. So there's three different perspectives all at the same time. You got the mom and son duo that were there helping him out and all that stuff. Right. And then you have Ashley Parham's perspective. But what's interesting about this is that there's something that's interesting. And of course, they may not have everybody's names right and all that stuff, because you got to remember there's two different perspectives. But something's interesting about this. Surely have to. Okay. So right here. And then, of course, I got to find it else in the beginning of the paperwork. But here's something. Okay. So she exited the home into the backyard. This is what Ashley did. Remember, she said, I remember seeing KK and another woman. I forgot. I think it was like Brandy. Maybe it was Brandy or something like that. I remember seeing KK and Brandy on the balcony. This says something different. Defendant KK returned and took plaintiff Jane Doe to the balcony, leaving John Doe alone in the residence. KK did not check the residence because she believed that Ashley Parham was passed out. While on the balcony, KK demanded Jane Doe to sign documents. When plaintiff Jane Doe refused, KK yelled to at least one Doe bodyguard. Plaintiff, this Jane Doe, would not sign and asked them to assist. Okay. Now, I don't know what it is that she needs to write or sign, that doesn't make any sense, right? That's one thing that doesn't make sense. What does she have to sign? And why does she have anything to do with signing documents related to creditors' claims, okay, that the plaintiffs had against Michael Jackson's estate? So that's one thing I'm kind of curious about. But main thing is that they were on the balcony, according to them. Okay. Now we got to go all the way back. Okay. We got to go all the way back. Okay. We got to go back to where we were here. Boom. So she goes out. We're in Ashley's perspective really quick. Page 19. Upon coming to the exit of, she found the knife. Okay. She concealed a knife. Remember, look, there's nothing in here so far that says anything about her waking up and seeing other people in the room. Okay. Plaintiff then began looking for her clothes. Let's go back to 18. Hold on. She remained lifeless. Okay. Passed out until she regained her bodily functions. She then began looking for her clothes in her purse that contained her car keys and cell phone, but could not discover them in the room or anywhere in the apartment. Plaintiff was only able to find a t-shirt. She put that on her body. Then she observed a prophylactic wrapper on the floor, okay, which she assumed was used by one of the defendants, most likely Diddy, during this attack. She then found a weapon, right? Oh, there it is. My bad. With the assistance, that's new to me. With the assistance of the John Doe or Jane and John Doe plaintiffs. That's good to know. So that's accurate. That part is there. That wasn't there before. That wasn't there before. I will say that. But moving on. She gets this knife with the assistance of the John Doe plaintiffs. And she goes back out here. She says, and I'll repeat, by the time she was able to compose herself and come to the backyard, KK was no longer in the backyard, but upstairs on the patio balcony with defendant Brandy. And they were up there for a while. And no, not Brandy like sitting up in my room. No, we're not talking about, baby, 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 baby. We ain't talking about her, okay? We're not talking about singer Brandy. This is a whole other Brandy, okay? Hold on. This Brandy. Boom. Brandy Cunningham, right here. She is a white woman, not Brandy. Okay? Not the Brandy that we know. So just to make that abundantly clear. So let's go back to where I was. So correction on that. She did mention, she just didn't go into detail about finding the weapon with these John and Jane Doe. Now we have something else. Okay? Yeah. Please don't put Brandy, the singer Brandy, into the mix. We're talking about a completely different Brandy. Okay? Brandy Cunningham, a white woman that allegedly was in that space. Now, they say that this Brandy Cunningham was on the balcony, all right, this patio balcony with KK. But then when we hear from the John and Jane Doe perspective, there is no Brandy on the balcony. It's just Jane Doe on the balcony being told to sign this paperwork that has something to do with Michael Jackson, which I'm still trying to understand. I'm like, why? Why Michael? Right? That doesn't make any sense to me. But moving on. Blah blah blah. They were all smoking in the backyard. She's still holding on to that weapon. Here we go. Shane then left to the upstairs portion of the patio / balcony where defendants KK and Brandy Cunningham were already situated. So he went upstairs to them. So like I said, the storyline from the Jane and John Does and the story for Ashley Parham have a few holes. I get it. There's two different perspectives here. Two things happen here. These people were being transported, right? These people were getting transported to this home, whereas Ashley was invited to that home to just hang out and help this Shane individual with his medication, okay? And then, of course, she ends up getting viciously attacked by allegedly the likes of Diddy to Drewski, Odell Beckham Jr., and big homie CC is just there in audience. He's just there in the room. He's just there in the area. That's one thing that's very interesting. And then the Jane and John Doe are being transported by the likes of this individual with the last name Pelletier, Valdez, Gonzalez, Jaguar, and Helena Scott, which is wild. Which is wild, guys. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about it. Because I know some people are feeling some type of way about this. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. I fully get the feeling of like, nah, what the heck? You know what I mean? This is cap. This is some bull. This is blah, blah, blah. I feel like, right now I'm quite vexed. I'm going to be real. I'm conflicted like a mug. Because once again, you got another case which is wild. This story is wild to begin with. But something about this is the names throw me off for sure. Doesn't mean that it's not true, but maybe because of whatever they doused her with, what she is believing, what she believes to be seeing may not be accurate. But then the other part, though, is like, it's frustrating because she says such things that are very specific. Like this bullet that was discharged from now allegedly big homie CC's weapon hit the hills, hit like a dirt hill in the backyard behind the building in which they were at. You see what I'm saying? There's just certain details that are very specific. So to me, it's like, how can you mix up or mess up knowing if that's Drewski, knowing if that's Odell Beckham, knowing if that's who else was in the room? Not only just Diddy, right? Knowing that that's big homie CC, right? Like I said, it's just, like I said, I feel like it's fair as critical thinking individuals to think independently and critically for ourselves, but also ask the hard-hitting questions. I don't think that shows that we are bad people. It just shows that we care and we want this stuff to be right. Because we just saw another lawsuit against Jay-Z and Diddy fall apart. And again, there's an ongoing fight, struggle, tug of war of people who believe that accuser and people that don't. But that lawsuit has been dropped and it will never see the inside of a courtroom ever again because it was dismissed with prejudice. Why? I guess that still remains to be seen. But at face value, with knee-jerk reaction, sounds like, to me, her story wasn't adding up. And that's why that story and that case dropped, right? But then now you got this, which life can be stranger than fiction sometimes, for sure. But of course, I think it's important that we get the facts and we start to figure it out for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, Diddy's done. It's a wrap for Diddy. But when I see something like this, it gives me great pause. I want the truth. I want justice to be served when justice is fit for whatever it is. But if it's false claims, that's terrible because, again, this destroys opportunities for other victims, real victims, to step forward. That's the one thing I get concerned about because it muddies up the water. It gets the water really murky, and we don't want that, right? But something about this is just not equating. And again, you have people being claimed and thrown into these lawsuits being accused of certain things that they may not have done. This could very well be a mistaken identity situation going on here. I mean, especially when you have someone like Jaguar Wright being thrown into it, and she's one of the biggest advocates out here speaking on behalf of every victim out there, especially her being one herself and all that. It just doesn't make sense. Then also, let's not forget this part too. Allegedly, she was locked up during this whole thing while this whole thing was going down. So how can she be locked up and be driving across state lines from Vegas to California with a John and Jane Doe in a sedan, light colored white or tan car? I'm just saying. There's a lot of people that can look a lot alike. That's possible. Maybe there's somebody out there that looks a lot like Jaguar Wright and looks a lot like Helena, that looks Big Homie CC, looks a lot like Big Homie CC. I don't know. But something about this doesn't seem to be mathing. But I think, as time goes on, we're going to find out more information, I'm sure. But damn, this is crazy. This is crazy, y'all. It just, yeah. Like I said, I'm all for truth, transparency, justice, and all that, right? But we got to get it right. And something about this just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel 100. Okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if, and it's not only just Jaguar Wright. I wouldn't be surprised if, because I understand that not only did Jaguar Wright speak out, I know Big Homie CC has spoken out too, basically saying that these claims are completely wrong and inaccurate and not true. And I don't blame them for if they pursue any type of legal action. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because this is shocking. It's like they try to throw Gene Deal under the bus a while back too, and it's kind of like, yo, why are you trying to put him in the mix when he's one of the people that's been out? I mean, unless they caught him red-handed, that's been another conversation, right? But all these people that have been stepping forward and speaking out, it like I said, it gets really, really messy. And again, what I said about Tony Busby and that particular Jane Doe, I'm going to ask the same thing about Ariel Mitchell Kidd with her Ashley Parham and her John and Jane Doe. Is there a vetting process? Do they have smoking gun evidence? Because again, to make that claim that it's, Jaguar Wright is the culprit and all that stuff, I mean, that is quite a claim. And this one still, I'm going, this is quite a case that they came with. I guess the question is, do they have enough evidence to really take this all down? And I guess only time will tell, right? Only time will tell with this, but man, does this feel wild. This most definitely feels wild. And again, I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong, guys. But this one's interesting. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here, guys, for sure. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Thank you so much. And I know, let me just say this too. I always will stand for the victims, for all victims, the true victims that are out here. Like I said, I don't know. I don't think that this is, I don't know if this is 100% or not. She could have been so under the influence that she just has, her memory is just putting these faces in there. That's possible. That is, I'm leaving everything still on the table, but it is quite suspect, everything that's being said here. Then you also have people being moved, okay, human moving, okay, across state lines, going to the same house. That's, like I said, so wild. But again, I'm always praying for the victims. I'm always praying for truth. I'm always praying for justice. And if this is 100% true, may they all get the justice served to them rightfully so. But some of them, I just don't see them being there. How could you be locked up? How could you be locked up and driving people across state lines at the same damn time? I'm just saying that part just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. That's the other thing too. I'd like to know, where was Odell Beckham Jr. during this time too? Same thing with Drewski. Same thing with big homie CC. Everybody, right? I mean, being locked up is a damn good alibi. I will say that. But anyway, guys, that's the video. That's the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Again, it really means a lot. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the show and being a part of the conversation. So do me a favor. Before you head out, hit that like button down below. Crush it. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. We're going to keep on this. We're going to keep this conversation moving. Okay. We don't have all the answers, but hopefully we'll get some more here soon. Hopefully there's some smoking gun evidence too. So hit that like button down below, please. And thank you. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, make sure you hit that subscribe button, please. And thank you. Hit that follow button over there as well. Please subscribe here on my main channel. Go to my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Crush that subscribe button over there. All right. That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And of course, do not forget to check out PascalMerch.com. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. We'll be talking here soon. Okay. Have a safe rest of your Sunday. If you still have the rest of your Sunday left over, enjoy it. Hopefully it's everything you needed to be. And we'll be talking soon. All right. Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.